Are you thinking about expanding and scaling in your business into the US market? Our guest runs a virtual accelerator program helping international startups enter the US market through expert mentorship, targeted curricula, and warm introductions to New York's most influential entrepreneurs, investors, and business contacts. We're going to have such a delicious conversation today. Oh boy, stay tuned for the Startup Life live show. Let's go, everybody, and get ready to dance. Hello and welcome to the Startup Life live show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, 4-time around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I know firsthand what you're crawling through every single day, what you're facing, that high level of uncertainty. It's like, oh my gosh. Sometimes you're thinking, what was I thinking? I got to go back and work for someone. But you've got this. No matter what happens, you've got this and you can do this. And I am so grateful that you carved out time to tune in and up your founder game, because here at the Startup Life live show, we dive deep into all the gems that you need to succeed. Because as you do better, yep, you and your business will do better. That's right. Your startup gets better as you up your founder game. So a big yoo-hoo to the live viewers. I'm so happy you're tuning in, and a really warm and delicious welcome to the replay viewers and podcast listeners. I'm so grateful for your time, and I know you will love this conversation. If you're tuning in from YouTube, I just get my special YouTube artwork up here. That's right. Come on over and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit that little bell icon so that you get an alert whenever we go live. And to receive an alert with like all the details, the full write-up about the show, who our guest is, what they're bringing to the table, so you can check out another founder and see what they're up to in their company, please join the Startup Life Live meetup group. I know you will benefit from every founder that you listen to here on this show. So let me just share a few, that's right, Andelicious announcements before we get going here. I want to remind everybody, be sure to hop on over to Arlen Hamilton's Arlen's Academy. You know, she's the founder of Backstage Capital, doing remarkable things. You hop on over there, because that advice she has, one video after another, all these founders sharing their stories and investors, it is FREE, free, phenomenal. Just I highly suggest following Arlen everywhere she goes, because you will be upping your founder game with that wonderful information she always shares. And one of my favorite accelerators, Visible Hands, they're based right here in Boston. They've got applications open. They're extending it from May 13th to the 20th. So get on over there, find out what it's all about, and apply. Because again, when you get that kind of support for your business, helping you even getting capital prepared, if that's what you need to do, raise capital, but it just really ups your game. And the folks at Visible Hands are wonderful. And I just also want to say, I'm going to be at the Female Founders Lounge and Test Kitchen this Thursday, May 12th at 4 p.m. ET. Rebecca Moore, she's the founder of In a Nutshell Consulting. Oh my God, she's so good. And this is and like I think it's about 90 minutes, and we are diving deep into, from the female founder perspective, all the things you need in a nutshell for your business. So it's kind of like not just a group hug, but a group mind meld and sharing. It's wonderful. And I got another goodie coming up here. Where is it? Oh yeah, my friends down at Zane Venture Capital. I don't know if you know the folks at Zane Venture Capital. It's a wonderful group based out of Atlanta, Georgia. They're having a graduation night. And folks, it's so much fun to go and hear other founder stories and celebrate a cohort. This is cohort 3 that's graduating. And, you know, Zane Venture Fund is diverse owned. Okay. And look who's going to be the keynote speaker. I don't know how to pronounce Tope's last name, nor even his first name, but it's the founder of Calendly. We all love Calendly. So that right there alone is a great reason to go and hop on over and RSVP via Zane Access for graduation night. And that's Thursday, May 19 at 6:30. Oh my gosh. If you haven't met Shiloh, the founder of Zane Capital, again, go follow her everywhere she goes. She is amazing and she's rocking it out of the park with everything she's doing for founders. All right. It's time for a little moment in the founder circle. All right. This is where I really want to know, how are you doing? Any switcheroos you want to share, any asks for your startup, a connection, an introduction, some advice. The show gets hundreds of replays. You never know who will see your business here and want to help. I've got tons of testimonials from folks who have made amazing connections during the show. So I'm always encouraging folks to pop in their name, their business name, their one-liner, and their website so I can pop it up on the screen and share it. But I love knowing how you're doing and how we can help you and all that. And so let me just say a quick hello to Ruth. Welcome to the live chat. Remember to subscribe. This is like a favorite person. She is my the Startup Life Live's community manager out of Nairobi, Kenya, but she does a lot of great things for companies. So be sure to connect with Ruth everywhere she glows. Alyssa, you're celebrating a birthday tomorrow. So early, happy birthday to you, goddess. Alyssa is the founder of one of my favorite platforms, ArcVita, and they help you, folks who are employed and want to get better, and be in a place where it's better happiness. You go check out Alyssa. And Alyssa, be sure to go ahead and put your information for ArcVita in here, because then I'll do a better job explaining it all. All right. But yes, thank you, Alyssa, for the promo and the link. I will pop the link into the meetup group. I'll pop it into the comment section. Thank you so much for that. Oh, so good to see you all. And I also just want to say, I'm just so blessed to have the opportunity to chat with amazing founders who swing by live or later. We have great conversations. So again, do not hesitate to reach out, because we right now live are streaming on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So again, when you pop in your information, you're going to have it go out to hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, because my YouTube channel gets a lot of views. And this is a great way. You never know who's going to see your information. And of course, any questions, because we're going to be talking to a startup genius goddess today, and she's going to be sharing so much great information with us. So don't hesitate to ask questions and pop them in to the chat room. And I'll just say hi one more time. Here's Ruth reminding everybody to connect with each other here in the threads on social media. If you're watching the replay, grab these names, go connect with them wherever they glow. And yes, here's Alyssa's wonderful information. Find and land fulfilling work you can love faster. Thank you, Alyssa, for that. And there's the URL, ArcVita, ArcVida.com. That's so great. Thanks, Alyssa. I love promoting you. You are just doing such an incredible job for so many people who, they've had some fulfilling work, but they really want to go to that next level, and you help them get there. You're amazing. All right. So let me introduce you to our phenomenal guest today. It's the one, the only Frances Simowitz. With over 10 years of experience in the startup ecosystem, Frances has helped establish and grow operations in multiple cities such as Boston, Chicago, DC, and New York for startups like Sittercity and Startup Institute. As founder and CEO of WEVE Acceleration, she leads a virtual accelerator program helping international startups expand and scale in the U.S. market through expert mentorship, targeted curricula, and warm introductions to New York's most influential entrepreneurs, investors, and business contacts. All right, I'm getting out the clappers. Let's have a hearty welcome to Frances.
Thank you, Andy.
I am so happy you're here. You are doing such remarkable work where you are down there in NYC.
It's been a lot of fun. I feel very fortunate to get to do the work that I do and work with the founders I get to work with.
Oh my gosh. And what I love about you and your background as a mother of a music major is that, you majored in music.
Yes.
Did you have an instrument, or was it your voice? Like, how did you end up doing that?
Yeah, so it was voice. So I started singing in the choir when I was very young. It was like one of the kind of most formative young experiences that I had, and it became my passion. I'm very driven and goal oriented once I have a goal. So began competing in high school in different like vocal competitions. I went to a college called Westminster Choir College and majored in music education and voice performance. And then
There we go.
decided I didn't want to do that as a career anymore.
But I think music is one of the most important transferable skills,
I
right?
I agree. It's interesting. I Having a creative background, I think, translates very well into the business world in a lot of ways. Like even music or singing, you have to listen a lot. You have to deal with ambiguity because you can't just be shown how to use your instrument. You have to like feel it ambiguously internally on how to do it correctly. I got into a really interesting conversation the other night with a sommelier who is now in the business world, and he was able to like kind of also talk about how his creative background in terms of understanding wines and people's needs also translated into business. So I feel fortunate to come from like a non-traditional background.
Well, not only that, music, folks, is all about pulling everything together. So your voice is usually accompanied by other voices if you're in an a cappella group or with instruments. So you all have to play well together, literally. And so you learn those wonderful skills of how to pull something together that is going out into the world. So I think music is one of the best preparations for entrepreneurship. Not,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what I loved about music originally was, in choir, you're building something beautiful with a lot of people, and it's very collaborative. It's, it's just like a wonderful experience. And then when you do progress on a solo career, the idea is that, you know, you are by yourself, you're competing for opportunities. And I just like, that's actually why I fell out of love with it. But running an accelerator, it's very similar. I'm bringing together community and different people to build and create wonderful businesses.
and to create wonderful and amplified voices, right, of all walks of life. So that's just to me so purely delicious. And so, what compelled you to dive deep into the startup world? Did you have examples growing up? Did you have parents who were entrepreneurs? Were you hustling products and services in elementary school? I'm always curious as to, what why someone goes into the entrepreneurship category or the world of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
It's funny because I would have never expected to be in this world. I have a vivid memory of third grade, and it was career day, and they were talking about different careers. And I remember they talked about entrepreneurship. And I remember having this like visceral reaction and being like, that sounds terrible. Why would you ever do that? Because it sounds like so much responsibility. But then along the way, there was definitely, I think, indicators that, this would be a great career path for me. I ended up for example, when I was in college, to make a little side extra money, I worked at a news and gift shop in the airport. And I was like, I'm very competitive. So I wanted to be like the best news and gift like employee shop that, ever existed. And I sold so well in the airport that they transitioned me to their toy store. And I became the top seller in the toy store in the airport because I was like I wanted to really listen to people, and I wanted to like understand what they needed. And when they'd come in, I'd be like, oh, are you shopping for your like grandchild? And really enjoyed it. So there were definitely things along the way. And then I ended up deciding I wanted to do a different career path,
Mhm.
post college. And actually, my ex husband worked in the startup space, and I loved the energy that he had coming home from work and with his colleagues. I was like, they're excited about what they're building. They all like each other. It's very community oriented. And I knew that I wanted to be in that world somehow.
Right. And also it's that collaboration, right? To create something, to create beautiful music with each other
Exactly.
as a team. So that's even for solopreneurs like myself, we have a team. Hi, Ruth, and folks who help us, pull our music together so we can reach and amplify and connect with more people. And so, how did you dip your toe into working at various other accelerators? Talk a little bit about that and what you learned from them.
Yeah, so I actually kind of got my start in accelerators by going through an accelerator myself. So in order to transition from music to the startup world, I found that I was trying to go on interviews and people would be like, "You're super great. We love your energy, but I don't know if you can do the job." And I'm like, "That's super fair." So I was looking into like other modes of education. Are there other things I can do to upskill myself to go work in startups? And I found a program called Startup Institute, which was founded by the managing directors of Techstars in Boston. And it was a gateway basically for me to then go work in startups. So I had a different model. It didn't accelerate startups, accelerated people that wanted to work in startups, but
Yes.
same cohort model,
Yep.
network driven. And it changed my life. It set me off my path. I learned, I was in their marketing track, met like most of my friends today, a lot of them come from this specific program and kind of what we were able to do together, which, happens to be entrepreneurs in my program. And then I later, after working at a couple of startups, went to go work at that accelerator on the other side of it. And I ran sort of the selection and the admissions of the, individuals going into the program and kind of got to see things from the other side. So
that's right.
yeah.
Oh, that was perfect preparation of the landscape for you to then go and soar. So when you start to say to yourself, okay, because, I really get that you are someone who likes to take initiative, who wants to expand and grow and collaborate. What, called you to then launch Weave and talk about what, that transition, because you started off with one name and then you changed to another. So, but first, how did you get inspired to do it yourself?
So it wasn't all me, honestly.
Okay, good.
It's kind of a unique story is the starting of the business and kind of how it wasn't originally mine. So when I was leaving Startup Institute, I had, the opportunity to join the founding team for the New York office of an existing accelerator. So Numa had been around for 20 years, was headquartered in France, had 8 locations around the world. And I helped build out the New York office because I was already working for an accelerator. I had a lot of network that could, help build it. I was excited to build an accelerator from scratch. We had a vague value proposition from Paris where they were like, we want to support international companies because a lot of our companies from around the world, when they grow, a lot of them want to come to the US as a next step and expand into other markets. And so I actually started as the lowest title on the team at the time as a program manager, then became program director, and before 2 years was promoted to CEO of the New York office. And so it was very much felt like my baby. And then in July of 2021, I actually acquired the US subsidiary of Numa. So it's mine now.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
a
you.
lovely way to get a business, folks. Okay. It's through acquisition, because now you've got your feet wet. You understood you were on payroll while you figured it all out. And
yeah,
right?
it's a very unusual way to own a business, but it was, I feel very grateful to be in this position.
Great. And so you wanted to give it your own thumbprint, which is where you came up with Weave. What does WEVE mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we had to rebrand the company as part of the acquisition. And so I worked with actually one of my friends and very talented designers, Justin Kim, who actually went through the accelerator at Startup Institute with me to actually do our rebranding. And he had a lot of different names that he came up with. And one of the ones I really loved was Eve, because my great grandmother's name was Eve.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt very much too might be like a feminine product company, or I didn't really know that was the name I wanted. And then he showed me another iteration of names, and I really loved. He showed me Weave, WEAVE, which for me is very much like what we do. We weave entrepreneurs into new markets and ecosystems, and we give them a network and so that they can seamlessly thrive. And so I didn't want it to be a word that existed for like Googling purposes. So when he showed me on the next slide, WEVE, I said, that's the one, because it had Eve in it. It has, being able to weave. We as a contraction is we have.
Yeah.
And so it's really about what we have together, what we build together. And so it was the name.
I'm always fascinated by names. Okay. And so, and then you have the word acceleration after that.
Mm-hmm.
Weave acceleration. So, and why did you add that to the end?
Because I mean, that's what we do. Acceleration is, in all forms what we do. We accelerate businesses, we accelerate ideas, we accelerate growth for companies and entrepreneurs and founders. And so it felt important to have that, as a part of our identity.
I agree 100% because a lot of people would leave that off. And we went through a period, after the dot-com industry, and we came into the late 2000s, and folks were just really into just that one word, so it'd be like Facebook or YouTube or Google. And then we went through the .ly stage, and you were always going, what the heck are you doing? Yours just makes so much sense because even though it's a play on, we have accelerator or weave, that beautiful experience of weaving together so many attributes, and weaving, especially since your purpose is to help the international startups, excel here in the US, that just provides a wonderful image for folks. So can I just say, congratulations on branding, because, so now you've only, I shouldn't say only, but this happened very recently for you then.
Yeah, about a year ago, the acquisition happened. But it's funny because people ask me, like, what feels different? I'm like, not much, because I was responsible for, the US entity for the last 5 years and worrying about all the things that keep founders up at night, on things like, are my employees happy, and the bank account, and pivoting in the pandemic to entirely virtual, and like not having resources, and because we couldn't get the PPP loan because we were considered French here and in a US company in France. So all of those challenges, like, that doesn't really change much between the acquisition and before.
I think I'm very fond of that transition because now you are stepping into ownership, which you already had going on, but now it's bona fide ownership, right?
Exactly. And ownership matters a lot. And I think it's also important for women because, ownership is really where you can build potentially like real wealth and stability for yourself. It's high risk, but there's also high reward if you actually own what you do. Like, your business can become an asset. So if you're putting all of your energy into something, and that was one of the things I think was hard pre-acquisition, was that, like, I was very responsible for the US entity, but it wasn't mine, even though it felt like mine. And that would be frustrating. And now it's actually an asset that I own and can, not only can I build it in any way I want, but I also, there's larger upside when people own businesses.
Well, I'm just going to say right now, folks, ownership matters. Especially for us diverse founders. We can do this, and we need to keep stepping up to the plate. A lot of times we have fallen into the pattern, the matching that we see and patterning that we see with the typical white male founder. And, it doesn't make sense. Ownership matters on so many levels. So I say stitch that on a pillow, put it there, because I love seeing founders step more fully into their authority as owners and business founders. I want to say a quick hello to Brent Manuel. He's right out of Canada. Talk about founders. This is a diverse founder who is an incredible advocate for other diverse founders out there, and also for making sure startups remember diverse founders have a lot to add to a team. And he says, hey, Andy, Fab Founder Tuesday, sending warm wishes to Boston from Ottawa. You had a Fab Founder moment in person last week, diverse person here. And Brent's referring to the guest that I had on that I met in person, and it's Justin Ayers, and he is the founder of Equality MD, which is a place where members of the LGBTQ plus community can find the right therapists and medical doctors that are understanding of their community. Very important work Justice is doing. So thank you, Brent, for tuning in. So happy to see you here. As always, you are a number one fan of the show, and we're so grateful whenever you tune in. So you had a little transition period. I mean, but because you were, quote, in control already, and operations was your jam, you went, what was that entering into ownership like for you? as you transition from being on payroll to then thinking, okay, who do I need to have on payroll? And how do I keep the business moving forward under this new brand? What was that like
Yeah.
for you?
I mean, a lot of things, like from a logistical perspective, weren't that different. Like, I was responsible for already hiring the team that I have. I was responsible already for, building out all of our processes. And the HQ in Paris didn't even have access to our US bank account. Like, I was the only one running those things. So that wasn't different. It was really more like thinking through kind of the future of the company. And it's something that I'm still working on now, but really also thinking about, what do we want this company to be now that we own it? How do I want to do things differently in terms of, benefits for my company? Like,
Right.
I put into place, for example, a 3-month fully paid maternity leave policy, even though we're a very small company, because I think it's super important. What might we want to do? Like, can we eventually raise a venture capital fund to invest in other companies? Can we, have another model where we open up, other soft landing programs in other areas of the world? So really being able to think through now the strategy and kind of the vision without having to have a board that had a different vision for what the company
Right.
would be.
Right. I understand that completely. And so, and having that transition as far as the brand goes, what was that like?
Yeah, so it's definitely, we were very afraid to like lose the momentum that we have, because we have trusted startup and
Mhm.
alumni, and we have partners that we've been working with for years, and clients that, from Google in Europe, that have been working with us for a long time. And it was, I wasn't sure how easy it would be to transition those things. We worked with a PR firm and had some support with that, but really our community was so excited and supportive of us. We maintained all of our client relationships, because the messages, it's the same team, it's the same mission that we've had to
Nice.
work with these companies. And it's been very seamless. It's been exciting when we've had our first in-person events with like the new logo on the banner, and like,
It
it's
means the
been
world
great.
because the name, right, is the name that you wanted to have. And it was the vibe and the brand promise that you wanted to bring to the accelerator. So
Yes.
that transition, the formally known as, that has to happen.
Yep.
But, you were able to go, okay, folks, this is even more exciting because now
Exactly.
we have that vibe that's happening within the organization. And so my next question is like, why is it so important to you? Because as a leader, somebody who, is bringing this to the next level, why is it so important to you to help international startups expand and scale into the US market?
There's such amazing talent all over the world. I think
Yes.
one of the things like that happens sometimes with Americans is that we become very America centric. We think that America is the center of the universe, that all of the innovation is here. Like, early on at Numa, one of the alumni from the French office had come to visit our office, and they had just been out in the West Coast meeting with one of their competitors, and their competitor was like, "Wow, you're doing so well! Like, I've never heard of you." And the founder was like, "Really, I've been following your progress for the last 5 years." And so, when U.S. founders do a competitive landscape, they aren't even always thinking about what are the other amazing solutions that are happening at other places around the world. And so, for me, being able to support these amazing ecosystems and entrepreneurs, because the US has a lot of potential in terms of market size for a lot of different industries. It allows their companies to grow, which in turn also brings back economic opportunity to their home country. And so it's like a wonderful experience to be able to personally be exposed to all these different cultures, to expose our
Right.
network to these different cultures, and to really make an impact in businesses that are solving real problems.
And, there's, I'm right there with you because I have a global audience and I bring on, founders from around the world and I feel their passion. I feel the excitement. And I also mentor a European company right now
Mm.
out of Milan called Ligo Milano. And so it's so exciting to see all of the transitions that can happen. And so here you are trying to helping these founders understand the US market, because folks, you have to understand, when we prepare to pitch here in the US, it uses few words as possible. Have maybe 38 words on each slide. We have a way of doing it. And also the US is all about driving the deal. So when you're transitioning to get into the US market, you're going to have to learn some skills, including cutting down on the words. In fact, the accelerator that I'm mentoring said in Italy, it's encouraged to use as many words as possible when you're pitching, right? So, talk a little bit about how, you help the founders first of all understand that this is a deal-based startup ecosystem here.
Yep. It's such a different culture business-wise in the US. It's one of those, like, pitching becomes like a big thing. And not only is it like the amount of words that you use, but it's also the words you choose to use. Like in the US, like I was meeting recently with one of the companies from Europe that we're interviewing for our next program. They happened to be in New York, and they were like, we realized when we were on the West Coast that people pitch here differently. The start of the pitch was just talking about all of their accomplishments, all of the big clients they worked with, where in other countries that would be very faux pas to do. You'd be coming off as, very brash or egotistical. And so establishing credibility right up front is super important. We accelerated one of the largest media companies in Mexico called Cultura Colectiva. And at our original network kickoff event, you would think that they were just like a tiny media agency that didn't have, video content with like 1 billion views because of the way they talked about themselves.
Wow, I can see that. Well, I don't want to be braggadocious here. Yep. Instead of what we do, let me just put a big spotlight on, what I've done. Okay, let me just get those clappers out.
Which also makes it hard for founders to hire too. So a lot of times when founders are coming here, they want to hire US salespeople. US salespeople are really good at selling themselves. It does not mean they're going to be good at selling your company. So also being able to identify what is actually good for your business, who to trust here from a cultural standpoint, can also be really challenging for founders.
Oh my gosh. And so do you help with pitch decks? Take us through your and how many weeks is the accelerator?
Yeah. So the flagship program is 10 weeks long. We are currently recruiting for cohort 13, which is going to start on June 13th and end in August. There's 3 main components to the program. There's curriculum that generally we redesign it every program based on the needs of the incoming companies, but generally has sessions on how to sell in the US, marketing strategies in the US, go to market, understanding the legal landscape here, doing things like fundraising and how to approach investors here. What are the metrics they're going to need to see? Then we also have a one-to-one with every company. We pair them with a lead mentor that's very specific for their industry. For example, we had an e-commerce company in one of our previous cohorts that was paired with one of the heads of global e-commerce at Walmart, or we had a prop tech company that was paired with an investor from one of the top prop tech VC funds in the US. So. Right. Really people that can dive in with them on their strategy. We work a lot with them on business development and getting first clients, because that's first and foremost, if they want to raise investment, they need to have traction first.
They've got to literally expand into the US market.
Exactly. And so a lot of times pitch decks are part of that, or sales collateral, helping them strategize on how to build out their team and structure. So it's really kind of tailored to each company's needs and objectives based on where they are.
Oh my gosh, I love this something fierce. Folks, we have great opportunity here in the US. And so it's wonderful that we can help companies come into this market like this and find the not just financial capital they need to expand, but the social capital. So how do you help founders, international founders, meet others here and expand their social network in the US?
Yeah, so we have a huge network now. We have a network contact list of 700 people.
Come on. Yay.
We have such amazing mentors too. It's really what makes our program work. I've said since the early days when I was program director, our role is not to have all of the answers for the companies. It's to be able to understand their challenges and be able to connect them to the person that does have the answer. And so really everything is about the community and network. All of the sessions are taught by people that are actually experts that are working in companies. We make a lot of one-to-one introductions to each of the companies on industries and client targets. We have network kickoff events where we're going to do a hybrid program this next program. So we'll have a live pitch event with our mentors in New York, but we've been running those virtually, and they'll do mentor roundtables. We have a demo day as well, where we usually get about 130 to 180 participants in attendance from our network. So really everything is driven by the relationships and giving them a network, because a lot of times, we'll find that startups have a really strong referral network for their business in their home market, but because they don't have that here, they A, need to build a network, and B, also need to put in strategies to be able to generate business without just, kind of the warm network referrals. So it's
Wow.
the big, important part of it.
You got it all. And I got to tell you, as a founder, you're going in. I just love that you had that. I've been doing this for years, but now it's my baby, so you're able to put your own deliciousness into the brand and make it yours, and still, where you want to take it. And how do you determine who's going to be part of your accelerator program? I mean, applications come in and also, before you answer that, how do you find folks to apply?
Yeah. And that's actually a challenge for a lot of accelerators, is actually sourcing the right companies. And it's actually a huge effort on our team to find the right businesses that are ready for US market entry. So, we work with a company right now called Leads Picker, which generates our application. And then they also do outreach. They have a huge database of different startups to companies that might be relevant. And we get applications through there. We have a lot of referral partners with VC funds and other accelerators around the world. We travel a lot for conferences. So we go to Web Summit every year, which is in Portugal, which is a huge, 70,000 person startup conference. We're going to Collision in June as well. So
where's Collision?
Collision's in Toronto.
Okay.
I saw someone's from Ottawa, so.
Yay, French, that's right. Oh my gosh. So you are collaborating and you have a system to get the word out, which I just love. But now you've got to filter those folks in. You've got to see who's really ready to step up. And this is what's so important, folks. Accelerators are the most incredible opportunity for you. Now, is your accelerator free? Is there a fee? How does that work?
So we have two models depending upon the stage of the startup. So one of the things that we found early on was that when a company is ready for US market entry, they generally tend to be a bit more mature. So a lot of times they've already raised a Series A or a Series B. So right now I'm interviewing one company that has already raised 70 million, another one that's already raised 50 million, right? So they're not little companies, but some of the companies are when they're ready for US market entry, and they've only raised 3 to 10 million. Right. So when we work with the larger companies, we have a non-equity model where they're able to just pay a flat fee of 30K and participate. When we work with earlier stage companies, we do a combination of warrants and taking a percentage of warrants in the company, and a lower flat fee or full warrants if, that's...
And for our newbie founders, explain what a warrant is, please.
Yeah. So a warrant, I always like to say, it operates more similarly to an employee option pool, where basically we have the opportunity to purchase it. We don't own that percentage, but we are given the right to purchase that percentage at the valuation of the time the company entered the program for a period of 10 years. And we would only probably use those or exercise them, as they say, at an exit. So if a company got acquired or went public.
That's a wonderful way, because, these accelerators are putting in a lot of time and effort into making sure they have a program that is going to make your business have a successful entry and traction into the US market. What about language? Do you make sure folks have a good understanding of English?
Yeah, it is necessary. Or not necessarily necessary, but it becomes an important aspect of it. So we'll a lot of times refer the companies to copywriters and things that can help them with their, US language. We want to, when we're evaluating the companies, does your product operate in English? Because if it doesn't yet, let's talk in 3 to 6 months when it does, because that would probably be the best time to apply and utilize our program. So language is an important aspect of it. I think also other privileges of the US that we don't always think about is that US English is our first language here. And it's really hard for founders to pitch in a second language. And and they do that. So we, prepare them a lot for pitching and talking about the business, also from a language perspective.
Wow. And so how many are in each? How many accelerators do you have a year?
So we run 3 flagship accelerators per year.
Okay.
We do have other programs because we work also in partnership with a lot of governments around the world to do dedicated programs. So if you're from Australia, we run a fintech program. If you're from Canada, we're running a retail tech program. So we have a couple of those partnerships, but our regular main accelerator is 3 times per year.
Oh my gosh, that's great. And how many founders are in each cohort?
Pretty small. So we have 5 to 7 companies per cohort typically.
Wow. So that's really stiff competition to get in.
Yeah, we interview probably close to 100 to 150 startups each selection cycle, depending. I feel like summer is one of our more popular cohorts because especially from Europe, no one works in Europe, but people are still working in the US. So it's a good time to come to the US. So we have a lot of applications, but it really doesn't come down to like whether a startup is good or not. We get a lot of really great companies, but it's also about timing for the US. Timing is so critical.
Wow. And how do you determine if timing is good for that company?
Yeah, so we do a lot of due diligence on like the competitive landscape, kind of where they're at. Like, do they have enough financial stability in order to actually invest in the US market? Do they have team structure where, if the founder is having to focus for 10 weeks on building out the team here, do they have someone to take care of their current clients in Europe without it being like a distraction, so that they can really focus in on what they need to do and what they need to build? We look at things like, is the market super fragmented, or is there a dominant player where somebody already has all of the market share, where, maybe actually it's not the right timing then to come to the US, et cetera. So really that's a big aspect of it for us. And so we'll talk to companies and 6 months later, it'll be the right time. That, just because it's not time now doesn't mean it's not going to be a good fit in the future.
Oh, always, just like you see on The Voice and American Idol, come back again. But, so when you're bringing them on board, how is it that you're helping them adjust to this? Do you have those conversations around the culture of the US, how they operated where they were, and how are they operating here?
Yeah, that's all built into the curriculum. Like we have one session that I actually love to do. I lead when we were actually doing this next program hybrid, as I mentioned, and so I'm going to get to do this session in person. But we do a culture session based off of the book, The Culture Map. It's a really great book that compares kind of business culture, and it's not a perfect science because also startup culture, business-wise, is different in countries as well. But it kind of gives a broad stroke of like what are the differences culture-wise for communication across countries, for things like time bound stuff, right? Like your culture that's very time flexible where you can be 15, 20 minutes late to a meeting, or are you, very time not flexible and you better be on time. So all of those different aspects. And the point of the exercise, and we actually like put the map up on or like the scale on the wall, and the founders put where they think their home country lies on it. And we show it in comparison to where the US is. And the lesson there is that your culture and your way of doing business isn't wrong. It's just different than the US. And having that awareness is really important because in the US, you have to follow up immediately after a meeting. And I remember I had a company from Mexico, which is a much more time flexible culture. And they had a contact after they met with them for a sales meeting that wasn't getting back to them. And I said to the founder, I said, well, when did you follow up? And he was like, 2 weeks ago. I was like, well, when was the meeting? And he was like, a month ago. And I was like, you waited 2 weeks to follow up? Of course they're not responding to you now.
There is so much to learn when you're ready to scale your business in the US, folks. And we have a lot of international viewers here. So I really want you to take this in. And of course, don't hesitate to apply to WEVE, because this could be a great opportunity for you to come to the US and make a difference. And remember, sure, it's been done before, but not by you and not for us. My favorite Seth Godin quote. But I'm going to put the information for WEVE back up there because we need, as founders, to always be looking for opportunities. And it's a great opportunity for an international founder and their team to come into this marketplace and get a foothold and create a whole new, wonderful, delicious experience for those who will purchase from you. So I know saturation can be hard. And as Francis was saying, a lot has to do with timing as well. And that's where you and your team are able to really, as you're reviewing the applications, to go, ooh, this will, I think, in 6 months, this might be ideal for this team, right?
Exactly. And we use experts too. We introduce each company in the selection process to 2 experts from our network for further evaluation, because I'm a generalist. I know a little bit about a lot of industries. And that's why we also pull on our network and our community to help us evaluate the companies and know what their unique challenges will be in the market.
Oh, that's great. And I'm thinking, what happens after they graduate from the cohort?
They stay part of the family forever.
And how do you do that? Because that's not easy either.
No, it is. It's not easy. We have, I mean, there's certain platforms that we use that the founders have, lifelong access to, like our community Slack. We have a community LinkedIn group. We also have a platform that we use called MetaPrize, where we organize all of our mentor and investor network and our founders. So they can always view our network as it grows and ask for future introductions. We're going to be organizing this year for the first time in the fall. We're hoping to, world permitting travel, an alumni summit where we'll have hopefully a lot of our alumni from around the world come together. We'll have some events with our mentor network for them. So, we really encourage them always to stay in communication with us. They ask us for future, like I just made an introduction yesterday for a bunch of people in Chicago for one of my startups that's going to be there for a conference. So really, we look to always be supporting them.
Oh, that is so exciting. And so when you say international, do you have specific areas? Or are you open to all countries? Where,
all countries.
All countries.
All countries.
So Africa, India, the different continents, Australia. Yep. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we work with a lot of different countries around the world, and we're always looking to work with more. When we used to have an office, I had like a map of the world on the wall, and I used to put pinpoints on all the countries we worked with. But
excuse me, but I love that. When I used to have an office, because we all moved home 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Our home offices, yeah.
But we've worked a lot with Europe. We've had a lot of Israeli companies. India has a wonderful startup ecosystem. We've done work also, a lot of Ukraine founders who, with everything that's going on right now, like our hearts are with them, and we're trying to support them as much as we can. We work with Australia, we work with Canada, a lot of also in, Central and South America. We've done work with Brazilian companies, Argentina, with Mexico. So really all over the world. And want to work with more countries as well. So it's been great.
Oh my gosh. And what is like the best feedback that you've received from not just a cohort, because the whole group can be like, oh, incredible, but what is a piece of feedback that just really made your heart sing and made you understand that you'd really nailed it as far as the experience?
Oh, geez. There's so many little ones. Like our startups are very happy and feel very supported with the program. We have very high NPS score, which I'm very proud of. And my team is amazing.
What's an NPS score?
Net Promoter Score, which is based off of one question where you ask, how likely would you be to recommend this, whether it's a product or service that you're selling, to another customer. And it's really important for us, to another founder, because it means that they're willing to recommend, that it means that they got good connections, that they got good value, that they, feel like they learned a lot and got a lot out of the program. So we have typically, anywhere between a 50 to 100 NPS, where anything above a 0 is good because it means you have more promoters than detractors for your business. So the startups have been very happy with our program.
Oh, that's so great. Because that helps you fuel what you're going to do next and who you're going to bring in. And it really, the best thing about accelerators, folks, is that nobody else knows what you're going through. Only other founders and the orchestra leader, like Francis, and the mentors that are coming in, that are founders themselves. That peer group is just so important for you to help you grow your business, because family and friends, some might be like thinking everything you do is just, oh, we love everything you do, you're great. And what does that mean, right? Or some are like biting nails, watching you at like a train wreck about to happen. But when you go to founders, they speak your language, they understand. And so this program that Francis and the WEVE Acceleration team has pulled together will really help you understand the US market, transition, get the mentorship, ideal mentorship that you need to get through any barriers to entry that you may be experiencing, but also give you the best chance to expand in a market that loves to spend.
That is true. You could oftentimes too charge more for your products and services here than you can other places.
That's right. But there is the language that we speak here in the US, and that's what you're learning. And you will learn how to and filter, get into this marketplace in a way that guarantees as much success as you can possibly get. There's no guarantee, of course, but it'll give you the greatest chance. So, my friend, you have been at this, Francis, for almost a year as a full-fledged owner of your business. So when you have felt inadequate, how have you shifted your mindset? And folks, you don't hear me say if you feel inadequate. Every founder feels inadequate, no matter how long or how many times they've been in having founded many companies. It doesn't matter. You always have moments of like, what was I thinking? How have you shifted your mindset?
Yeah, no, I'm like, oh, I felt like that earlier this week. Like that's, you feel like that a lot. And the mindset is a really important aspect of it because it's hard and it's lonely a lot of the time when you're running a business. I think there's a few things. One, developing a mindset of like, all right, I'm going to look forward. Like this didn't work out, and being comfortable with things not working and with failing and being excited about like using that and flipping it as sort of like, I failed, but really what did I learn from this? Right. And like always thinking that every experience has value no matter how it turns out. And then I have my own network of people that I go to for my own personal, like either like peer founders or like peer, like I talked to a lot of other accelerator owners and operators that understand kind of the unique challenges that we go through in this type of business, which is really, really helpful. Right now we're putting together also an advisory board of people that can also help with other strategic challenges. And so like really also allowing myself to not be alone in this, and reach out for help and advice from my personal mentors when I need it has been so critical, because there's moments where you are going to feel terrible and you have to just like pick up and be like, okay, I'm going to move forward. My team also helps too. I have a great team. So like I feel very accountable to them, and when I feel bad, I can't because I have to also be there for them.
Okay, so can you see me or hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, good, because I have no idea why my screen just froze.
Oh, okay.
So I am, folks, this has only happened maybe once during this whole time, but we have the audio. That's what matters. But if you all just hang in there, I have no idea what's going on with our internet access in our home. Everything looks like it's working great. And I've got all the bars. If you are watching the show, can you see me? Am I talking? Am I doing anything? And if not, this is what makes going live so exciting. So I am going to come back in. So don't you worry, everybody. I will still be here, and I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to come back in, enter the studio this way, and dump my camera over there. And not to worry. I'll get rid of. Hold on.
I can see you now, but I think you're still frozen.
Here I'm going to add myself to the screen here. No. Wait for it. Wow, this is a new one. I love that.
This is part of the fun,
Oh my gosh. Okay, hang in there. I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to refresh here. Reload. And she's back. I gotta tell you, nothing like the excitement of live. And it's great that I'll be able to edit this out for those of you tuning in on the replay. Ruth, can you see me okay? This usually happens to my guests. This has only happened to me one other time out of
Oh, wow.
155 episodes. So that's just gonna, that's the technology for you. But we worked it out, and you kept going. You kept sharing your brilliance. So I love that, Frances. Hey, welcome back, Andy. Yeah, I was, unfortunately, when it froze, Frances, it didn't freeze on like me going like, yeah, because
Again, a bit like a terrible face. Like you looked very pleasant in your frozen face.
I was very interested in what you had to say. And I had you on the full screen, which made it a lot of fun. Well, thank you for sharing that, how you shift the mindset. And I can't wait to grab that because you were full screen and it's recorded. So that's perfect. And you are just perfect at what you do. So now that you've been in the entrepreneurship game for a while, almost a full year, even though it felt like you were in it already, and especially as somebody who helps founders up their game, how has this journey served you? What have you noticed that's been a little different in who you be and how you are in the world, both professionally and personally as a founder?
Yeah, I think, being a founder in general it's a different path than a lot of other paths. There are moments where, it's really great. You're like, this is the best. Like I'm in the control of my own destiny. I'm my own boss. Like I could decide to just close the office for Christmas because no one works in Europe in Christmas time anyway.
Or August.
Or we work still in August.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so like those aspects of it are really great. But then there's also the moments where, it's really hard and, not having, you got to go out and make the business work, and it relies on you and a lot of it on your shoulders. I think it's like in general forces you to be very responsible. Yeah. It forces you to be very mindful of others. Like I have to always think about also my team and what they need and what's good for them. And so there's like a lot of kind of balancing a lot of different aspects, and it's both rewarding and extremely challenging at the same time.
Oh yeah. As I'm always saying, one minute you're popping the champagne, the next minute you're crying into it. And you have an accelerator. So those are your clients. You've got to also engage those who are going to volunteer their time and come in and help. So
Yep.
There's so many different aspects, but you are fine-tuned to be doing this work. Your former music background is serving you beautifully because you're making sure everybody's voices are coming together to make a beautiful song. Because folks, think about this. Frances is leading an accelerator. So she's got to, screen and get the applicants on board and get those who are reading the applications and get them participating. Then she's got to pull together a mentor team for each founder and founder team that's coming into the market, provide the educational experience that's going to really up their game in the US market. And then she's got, post accelerator. So you are like, da, 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 da.
I know. And then we also have like the government programs too. Like this May, we have like 3 programs going on at the same time. So it's
so good.
It's a lot, but it's also wonderful.
I'm so proud of you. I love what you're doing. And although I was right there, in your backyard this weekend, I was, it was Mother's Day. So I had obligations, but I would love to see you in person someday when I'm down there. Come over and give you a hug and cheer you on and your team on, and everything that you're doing, I think is so wonderful. And our international founders need you. They need this course because this is a great area to expand in. But if you don't know how to read the environment and know what's expected, you're going to fail, just like in anything. And so, Frances, I just love what you're doing with the WEVE program. And, oh, hey, Muriel Reddy, Nukella. I'm not sure I said your name right, but I'm so happy you tuned in. Thank you so much. And I know you'll get a lot of value from this conversation. I'm just going to bring up this again to remind everybody, this is how you can connect with Frances and WEVE Acceleration. I'm going to have all the links in the show notes so you can easily just click on and follow them everywhere they glow online. Any last thoughts you'd like to share with folks, how we can add win to your sales?
Yeah, I mean, if you know any international founders thinking about US market entry soon, we're happy to chat with them. We're currently in selection for our summer 2022 cohort. Technically, applications are closed, but if you reach out to me directly because you were on this show today, happy to have a 30-minute call with you or someone on our team. And then we are recruiting for an impact-focused cohort for the fall of 2022 as well. So if you're company is solving a big global challenge, we're happy to chat with you.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your wonderful vibration and music with everybody, because you're doing remarkable work helping so many founders who really do belong in our US market, but have been trying to figure out how to navigate it. And you just help them and hold their hands in such a wonderful way, Frances.
Thank you, Ande. This has been wonderful, and I'm really excited I get to be here today.
And congratulations on your founderhood. We love seeing the female founders rocking it in the world. Thank you so much. I'm going to put you into the green room. Hope you can stick around while I quickly wrap up the show. Isn't it amazing? Like when you think about what has to happen for someone to do business in our country. Now, in a lot of ways, it's a lot easier. When you hear how hard it is to launch a business in some of these international countries, you'd be like, oh my gosh, why does anybody do it? So I just love what Frances and the WEVE Acceleration program is doing here. Let's pull up who's going to be on the show next, and I can tell you all about it. Coming up Friday on the 13th, we are chatting with about how to position a startup in a crowded market with Claire Siegel. She's the co-founder and CEO of Flourish. She found a sweet spot no one was addressing in the diet and weight loss industry: weight inclusivity. And she created an app for that. So please join us so you can hear how Claire has proven you can find a profitable and sustainable lane in a competitive market. And you know, weight loss or weight anything is super competitive, but you also know, if you watch the show, how I feel about that. Just walk down the bread aisle and you will be all set. All right, folks, until next time. It's a very interesting day today. So I'm going to remind myself, as well as you, that this wonderful A.A. Milne quote, which is that you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and yes, you're wicked smarter than you think. Stay focused, stay strong, and go with the flow. As you saw today, it's all about being able to navigate no matter what happens. I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Mwah. Thanks so much for tuning in.